welcome back to the Deep Six Wrestling Podcast. It is August 17th, it's Tuesday, it's the afternoon. I hope everybody's having a good day. I'm here to talk about the New Japan G1 Climax semifinals. My name is Pat. I'm one of the many hosts of the Deep Six Wrestling Podcast. You can find the rest of us covering other stuff, with Rob doing SmackDown reviews, Ryan covering NXT UK, though, following up on NXT Heatwave last night. Who knows if that will still be the case. Ryan and Angelo also cover Impact Wrestling every week, and Joey and me cover AEW Dynamite. So if any of that sounds appealing to you, please consider subscribing to the Deep Six Wrestling Podcast, as we also clearly have New Japan coverage, which mainly comes in the form of me. I also sometimes talk about Stardom, maybe whenever the 5-Star Grand Prix ends and I catch up on matches, I'll do a short show about that too. So, but we are right at the end of the G1 Climax. Again, like I said, we're talking about the semifinals for this show. The finals are set, and they will be happening tomorrow, and then we are done. We're done with the G1 Climax 32. It was a long stretch, but we're finally there. I have enjoyed covering it. We have reviews out for every single night of the tournament, so if you're going to catch up after the tournament, if you're just trying to hear about recent stuff, whatever it may be, we have a playlist on our YouTube channel. You can find all of it there. If you're listening on podcast services like Apple, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, Google, whatever, all of our New Japan shows are there too. They're obviously just not in a playlist because that's not an ability for podcasts like that. So regardless, wherever you're listening to, please consider subscribing, whether it's on streaming services or YouTube or both. We'd appreciate it greatly. And we just want to thank everybody who's continued to support us through the G1 Climax, listening to our episodes, and to all of our new subscribers that we've gained over the past month. I think we've gotten like 32, it's like between 32 and 35 new subscribers over the past month. So to all of the new people listening, we want to thank you, and hopefully you enjoy the content we're putting out, whatever it is that you are listening to, whether it's myself covering AEW New Japan, Rob again doing SmackDown, which have seemed to be pretty popular, or Ryan and Angelo's Impact Power Hour, which also has been doing pretty good lately. So, or the 10 people that listen to NXT UK reviews. So, regardless, thank you. You can also follow us over on Twitter at Deep Six Wrestling. Just search Deep Six Wrestling on Twitter and you'll find us. So with that being said, we're going to dive on into the semifinal show, which featured a lot of tag matches as expected. I woke up to watch this live at 5 a.m. I will be doing the same thing tomorrow for the actual final show. But because I'm recording this at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, I do not have the card to go over for the finals. Typically that comes out around 10 p.m. Eastern Time. So still several hours away, but we'll find out after Dynamite. And yeah. So, I, again, did watch the full show, so we are going to go through these undercard tag matches. There was some good stuff, so it wasn't just a bunch of throwaway matches. So to kick things off, we had Lance Archer teaming with Yoshinobu, Kanemaru, Taka, Michinoku, and Douki, Suzuki going here, against Tomohiro, Ishii, Hirooki, Goto, YOSHI-HASHI, and Yo. With the implication being that if the Suzuki team pinned the champions in this match, the Never Six-Man champs, that would be getting a title shot. Yo is now blonde. He dyed his hair. I really don't know how I feel about this new look. It's just, I don't know. Looks interesting. But I'm sure I'll get used to it. Archer comes in here after a bit and takes Bishamon out with a crossbody. Yo comes in and tries to drop kick the Murder Hawk Monster. And Taka, it fails, obviously. Taka Michinoku comes in and Archer tries to body slam Taka, but Taka says no, and he tries to body slam Lance Archer onto Yo, but he isn't strong enough to hold up Lance as he just falls onto him for a nice little comedy bit. A basement drop kick from Yo for the assist. Ishii is able to drop Archer with a vertical suplex, which takes him out, and the direct drive from Yo lands on Taka Michinoku as Chaos wins. Solid little fun opener here. I kind of probably wouldn't have been upset if they had Lance, Douki, and Yoshinobu Kanemaru challenge the Chaos team for the 6-man belts. I feel like that would have been fun, especially if they just they could have won here and then added that to the finals, because I'm sure, I don't know if we're gonna get any title matches on the final show, but it would have been a nice little thing, but we'll see. And then we move on to probably the like the big tag match that people are going to be talking about a lot coming out of this, which was Team Filthy, Bad Dude Tito, or not Bad Dude Tito, that's TMDK, Royce Isaacs and Tom Lawler versus the Dangerous Tekkers, and this was their first time teaming, Zack and Taichi, since April, when they faced off against the team of Okada and Toru Yano. Interesting little thing there. Royce Isaacs would come out with a tiny microphone and a masquerade mask, basically cosplaying as Taichi here and singing the Team Filthy theme song. Pretty funny. Taichi also looked like he was out with a new robe, unless this is just one that I never realized he had, but it looked like he had a robe on with like a dress shirt and a tie underneath, but then when he undid the robe, it was just like half of a shirt. Sure. And before the match, Royce shows off his microphone to Taichi, who makes fun of how small it is, and Lawler then tries to peddle vinyls to Zack Sabre Jr., giving him I Want Your Sex by George Michael and a Boy George record that Zack Sabre Jr. freaks out over and breaks over his knee. If there was an actual vinyl in that was pretty impressive that Zack snapped this thing over his knee. Lawler and Royce take control here, sending Taichi outside as they briefly just dominate Zack before Taichi gets in and the Tekkers get back in their favor. Taichi attempts to slickly choke Royce while pinning him, but he gets caught 3 times. The pop-up knee from Royce Isaacs allows for Lawler to tag in, nailing Zack off the apron before taking it to Taichi in the corner. The hook kick lands from Taichi as both go down. Taichi gets the tag to Sabre, who fires off with uppercuts, but Tom just eats them and then comes back with forearms to the face and unloads knees to the head of Zack here as the two go head-to-head, trading submission holds and just constantly getting to stalemates here as neither man can get a submission locked in. And Tom then drops Zack with a spinebuster to break this up. Royce Isaacs gets back in and hits a big knee and a deadlift brainbuster for a 2 count over Zack Sabre Jr. Zack goes for the Euro clutch for a close one, but Isaacs escapes and lands with a Superman punch as Zack gets into a guillotine and then transitions into the armbar, and Royce Isaacs is forced to tap out as the Dangerous Tekkers win their first match back together in a 2-on-2 setting in several months. So I thought this was really good. I'm excited for more Zack Sabre Jr. and Tom Lawler, and the implication here was that Zack and Taichi are going to most likely be back tagging together, so I'm assuming these two will be in World Tag League, which is a very good thing for everybody because the Dangerous Tekkers are a fantastic tag team. And I'd be excited to see Royce and Tom do it as well. I thought they worked really good as a tag team too. So I enjoyed this. I would recommend going to watch this. I thought this was a ton of fun and just a good time all around. Following up on this, we would actually finally get Bad Dude Tito wrestling, as we would get Great Bash heel Togi Makabe and Tomoaki Honma returning here to face off against Jonah and Bad Dude Tito in a fairly short tag match. Bad Dude Tito controls Honma for the first few minutes before getting the hot tag to Makabe, who takes Jonah out on the apron before leveling Tito with a lariat for a 2 count. Honma and Jonah get in, and we do get the Kokeshi landing, and I thought it was over here. I thought they were going to have Honma beat the man who beat Jonah, or who beat Okada, which is Jonah. Double team lariats and a double suplex connect from GBH on Jonah, but he kicks out, and a big lariat from Jonah seals it, with no torpedo needed here as TMDK win, and it also is implied that they will be appearing more in Japan, according to Bad Dude Tito here on commentary, and Jonah seemingly calling out Okada again. So, probably I would assume, again, as we look forward to the latter portion of the year, we have World Tag League at the end of the year, and I would assume this is going to be a bigger tournament than normal, or at least featuring new teams. You could have Jonah and Bad Dude Tito in, or hopefully you could have proper TMDK tag team Shane Haste and Mikey Nichols show up, as I think a lot of people would be excited for that. So, but nothing too noteworthy in this one, going to be honest. And then we would go to Aaron Henare, Rado Khan, and Jeff Cobb versus Chase Owens, Bad Luck Fale, and Juice Robinson. I tuned out for the entire first portion of this, but at the end, we got a nice exchange between Chase Owens and Aaron Henare here, who trade strikes with Aaron taking down Owens with a big body blow. He blocks the C-trigger. He misses with the roundhouse kick. Chase connects with the C-trigger, and then lands the package pile driver for a nice final sequence here as Bullet Club get the win. Nothing too special in this one. I know backstage, Bad Luck Fale and Chase Owens would get into it with Cobb and Okan, so yay for more Chase Owens and Bad Luck Fale. Said like no one ever. Dude, Bad Luck Fale is so bad. Anyways, Hiromu Takahashi, Bushi, Shingo, Takagi, and SANADA versus El Phantasmo, Kenta, Evil, and Yujiro Takahashi with Dick Togo. Hiromu makes his return to Japan after a brief stint in the United States for New Japan Strong and stuff. He takes it to Evil and Yujiro quickly before tagging in Shingo, who has to deal with El Phantasmo, now calling himself Shingo's daddy, after scoring the major upset during the block finals yesterday. Phantasmo teases the CR3, but Shingo goes up for his pop-up Death Valley driver, but he can't get it due to his injured shoulder, before he just drops Phantasmo with a DDT, as Evil gets tagged in and takes out LIJ on the apron. A dragon screw from Shingo allows him to get the hot tag to SANADA, who comes in, drop kicks all of Bullet Club, and locks Evil in the Paradise Lock. Sho and Togo get onto the apron and start getting in as SANADA kicks the ropes, crotching both of them, and he locks Sho into the Paradise Lock right next to Evil, and then locks Dick Togo into the Paradise Lock opposite of them. And he truly becomes the hero we deserve here, just, locking up these three goons. And he obviously kicks the bums of Sho and Evil, so they get out. But he leaves Dick Togo in the corner on his birthday. It's Dick Togo's the birthday boy, and eventually Evil takes down SANADA with a drop toe hold, sending him face first into the bum of Dick Togo. The sudden death scores on Bushi. Kenta locks in game over, and he uses his autobiography for the assist as Bullet Club win. So makes sense. Bushi was in this match, so kind of felt like it was obvious they were losing. But yeah, I'm glad that we are seemingly going to be getting more El Phantasmo and Shingo together. I would assume this would be a KOPW match for the upcoming Burning Spirit tour. Or I know Shingo's coming to the States in the fall, so you could do it then too, if you wanted to, for New Japan Strong. That'd be a pretty big match, but we'll see. I feel like that'd be the first time the KOPW would be defended outside of Japan if they did that. And our final tag match, Kushida, Hiroshi Tanahashi, David Finlay, and Toru Yano versus Jay White, Doc Gallows, Carl Anderson, and Taiji Ishimori. This is Gallows and Anderson's first time in Japan, I think, since Dominion, and they come out with the Impact World Tag titles, having won them back, as well as Carl having the Never Openweight Championship. So, two-belt Carl. Finlay and Carl start here. I would assume David Finlay will be one of his challengers in the future, especially just based on the performance he had in the G1. Kind of wish Kushida was also in there, but it seems him and Ishimori are going to be going after one another. And with positioning here, I honestly could see Tanahashi getting a shot at Jay sometime before the Tokyo Dome. I really don't know if I think Jay White's only going to defend the belt once against Tama Tonga before then. So I feel like, him and Tanahashi have history. If you wanted to do Tana against Jay and Tama and Tana against Jay, those are two solid defenses. But we'll see. A few quick pin attempts come out for Finlay, but nothing substantial over Carl Anderson. White and Tanahashi get in as he lays into Tana. Kushida and Ishimori brawl up the ramp. Bullet Club makes quick tags on the corner as they just keep Hiroshi Tanahashi down. Yano gets tagged in, and we get a revisit to the thrilling Yano versus Doc Gallows match from Dominion. The Magic Killer gets teased on here, but Tanahashi breaks it up as he takes it to the Good Brothers before Tana and Yano send Gallows and Anderson into each other, which allows Yano to hit a low blow on Gallows and gets the roll-up as Yano, Finlay, Tanahashi, and Kushida win this match. And give Bullet Club their big loss for the night. After beating LIJ, they beat United Empire. And yeah, so congrats to Yano for being the one to stop him. And yeah, so that was all of our undercard tag matches. I would recommend going to check out the Team Filthy versus Dangerous Tekkers match. I thought that was really good. So I don't know. I don't know what we're getting on the actual finals card tomorrow, but hopefully we have some stuff that's as good as that. But we'll see. And that would send us into our 2 tournament matches here, the semifinals, as we would have our A block winner, Kazuchika Okada, taking on our B block winner, Tama Tonga, in a rematch from last year's G1, in which Tama Tonga handed Okada his only loss of that year's tournament. A big flapjack drops Tama to cut off the offense here in the opening minutes. DDT on the outside lands for Okada, and the big splash in the back suplex connect for Tama back in the ring, scoring a 2 count. Second DDT from Okada drops Tama, but this time in the ring, as the 2 trade blows in the ring, with Tama going shot for shot with Okada before dropping him with the Tongan twist. We go down to the floor, and Okada teases the landslide or the tombstone, but Tama gets out of it with a second Tongan twist. Back in the ring, the poison DDT connects somewhat, getting a 2 count for Tama as he follows up by landing the Death Valley driver and climbs up top, coming off the top with the Supreme Flow for another close count here. The gun stun gets called for, but Okada drops Tama into the money clip as Tama Tonga gets to the rope. Okada goes high and comes down with the elbow drop as he calls for the Rainmaker, lifting Tama Tonga, who fights out with elbows before nailing the drop kick to Okada as he comes off the ropes. We get the Bloody Sunday teased by Tama, who used this against Jay White the night before, but Okada gets out of it and nails his own drop kick before looking for the Rainmaker. Tama flies over the back of Okada and transitions back to the Bloody Sunday, landing it for a big near fall here. Tama then looks for the underhook pile driver, the move that gave him his victory over Okada last year, but Okada gets out of it with a big lariat and maintains wrist control as the Rainmaker gets dodged, but Okada takes him down with the drop kick again as Tama Tonga just fires up and runs into the landslide. The Rainmaker lands, but the Rainmaker gets looked for, but Tama counters it into the gun stun here, though he can't make the cover. This was a really good sequence and tease that Tama Tonga was going to get this. With the delayed pin, Okada gets out for a near fall that gets a big gasp from the crowd. The underhook pile driver gets teased again from Tama Tonga, but Okada just falls down as Tama unloads with clubbing blows to his back. A back body drop from Okada, and then he sits down on Tama for a near fall. He sets up for a German, but Tama gets out again. The drop kick misses from Okada as Tama holds onto the ropes. Another gun stun gets looked for twice here, just 2 attempts on it, but Okada blocks both and locks in the money clip again. Tama gets out of this with an inside cradle. A big boot lands from Okada, a Pele kick from Tama Tonga. Gun stun again, but Okada gets out with an Enziguri. He drops Tama Tonga with the Emerald Flosion, and that sets up for the Rainmaker as Kazuchika Okada wins and moves on to the G1 Climax 32 finals. I thought this was back-to-back nights. Tama Tonga had 2 of the best singles matches of his career. First against Jay White, and then against Okada. And yes, it's partially because he's with 2 of the best in the world, but it's also because Tama Tonga has greatly improved. He works so much better as a babyface than I feel like he did as a heel. The crowds are super into him. He's putting on great in-ring performances. He has great charisma. He's connecting. Really, everything is clicking for Tama Tonga right now. So as much as some people that don't like him are going to say, oh, it's because he's with Okada. Yes, but it's also because he's gotten a lot better, and he's improved. He has found himself in this good guy character. And he's a genuine, he feels like a top babyface star for the company. So I hope they capitalize it in the next year or so. Over the next year, I guess. I would assume if Tongaloa is cleared, that Tama Tonga and him will have a big run in the World Tag League as babyface Gorillas of Destiny. I feel like setting up for them versus FTR would be a pretty big match. As well as seeing them against the likes of Aussie Open, Team Filthy, TMDK, if the Good Brothers are in it, Bishamon, Dangerous Tekkers. We'll see. But I enjoyed this a lot. I thought this was a great match. I thought both of the semifinals here were very good. This was not as good as Naito and Ospreay, but I enjoyed this thoroughly. And the one big gun stun land for Tama Tonga was a great moment. So, yeah. And that would send us to our main event, which was Tetsuya Naito versus Will Ospreay for the first time ever here, with Tetsuya Naito winning the C block and Ospreay winning the D block, as both men would be looking to face off against Kazuchika Okada once again. So we have a fast start here as both guys go for big moves but fail to connect. Naito just lands in the Tranquilo pose before Ospreay comes back and connects big time with a standing shooting star press. A rope-hung neck breaker lands for Naito, just dropping Ospreay's neck across his knee. And he follows up with a hip toss and a drop kick, all landing as he takes down Ospreay before locking in a chokehold. And then he takes Ospreay down in the corner with elbow shots to the shoulders. This looks brutal. The combination Cabron lands, and then Ospreay fires back with the springboard forearm for a 2 count. Another neckbreaker from Naito lands as he locks in the leg-based full Nelson that he's been using throughout the G1. Ospreay stretches out his legs and gets to the bottom rope to break it up. Naito sets up for Gloria, but Ospreay gets out as Naito fires off a few elbows before eating an enziguri and a standing Spanish fly as both men go down. A big strike exchange here as these two work up from their knees, firing off huge forearms with Ospreay hitting a big step up to the chest, or a big slap to the chest, and Naito slapping Ospreay across the face. The Tornado DDT from Naito gets blocked as Ospreay counters with a Brainbuster, which is a great counter. But Naito does come back and does successfully land the Tornado DDT before firing off elbow shots to the side of the neck, just wearing down Ospreay for an eventual Destino. Ospreay folds backwards onto his back when this finishes for the final couple elbows here. And Gloria then lands from Naito, but Ospreay still kicks out. Ospreay gets flung over Naito and lands face first onto the top turnbuckle as Naito comes off with a big-time Poison Frankensteiner off the top turnbuckle. But Will just continues to kick out despite the damage to his neck. We get some type of cross-leg pile driver that lands for Ospreay, but Naito kicks out of it as Will calls for the hidden blade, and it connects. But instead of going for the pin here, Ospreay sets up for Stormbreaker, and Naito counters out of it with a Destino as both men go down with no cover attempted. A big hook kick lands right into the eye of Naito as Will goes for the Os Cutter but gets caught with a Spine Buster. Destino looked for again, but Ospreay nails the Chelsea Grin. Hidden Blade, but Naito gets out and lands Destino, and Ospreay kicks out. The Destino looked for again, and Ospreay gets out of this and nails the Hidden Blade this time directly to the face of Naito, who kicks out at 2.999 for a crazy near fall as Ospreay lifts him up for Stormbreaker. I believe this was the first time it was hit in the tournament. And Will Ospreay wins the semifinals. So the official finals for the G1 Climax is Kazuchika Okada versus Will Ospreay, which is a very big match. I know a lot of people were expecting Naito, but as somebody who chose Naito in my predictions, I will say I am kind of glad that we're getting Ospreay and Okada. I didn't need Okada versus Naito 4 for this year. But, I thought this was a phenomenal main event. I thought both of your actual semifinals matchups were great. I'm not against... I feel like Okada wins the G1, but I'm not against Ospreay winning it either. He's been teasing stuff with Jay, so we'll see where it goes. I don't think Ospreay's going to do it. I think Okada has this in the bag, just because Ospreay has other stuff going on. I think next week he's scheduled for Dynamite with Aussie Open to enter the Trios tournament for AEW. We've got the Royal Quest show in October, where I believe he's still the Rev Pro champion. He's still the U.S. champion. I don't think Ospreay's winning the G1 while he's U.S. champion, Rev Pro champion, and while he's going to be competing in the AEW Trios tournament. But you never know. Theoretically, you could have Ospreay win the G1, and if everything goes as people are expecting, and we're getting Kenny Omega back tonight, and then, the Elite versus United Empire in the semifinals, you theoretically could have Omega win for his team and then challenge Ospreay for the Wrestle Kingdom briefcase, I guess. It's kind of fantasy booking, but I don't think that's going to happen. So my assumption is Okada wins this, and then Jonah challenges him sometime in the fall, like a Power Struggle or something, for the Wrestle Kingdom briefcase. I feel like that makes sense. Really strong matches. I thought, Naito and Ospreay I thought was the better match, but I thought Tama Tonga and Okada was also really great. Genuinely one of Tama Tonga's best singles matches. And again, just back-to-back days for him having phenomenal singles matches, first against Jay White and then Kazuchika Okada. So I would recommend watching both of these semifinals matches. I feel like it's definitely worth your time to seek these out. And if you have the time, I would also recommend checking out the Dangerous Tekkers versus Team Filthy. I think most people would enjoy watching that quite a bit. I think, the setup for a future singles match between Zack Sabre Jr. and Tom Lawler has a lot of appealing factors to it, so we shall see. And coming off of this, we are heading into the finals of the G1 Climax, which are tomorrow, August the 18th, at 5 a.m. Eastern Time, so you can do the conversion for yourself wherever you're listening this to. But Ospreay versus Okada is the only match announced so far. Ospreay did tease in a backstage promo after his victory over Naito that there is a new member of the United Empire coming for a surprise. So I don't know if this happens tomorrow or if this is going to happen when he comes over to AEW, if it's going to happen for Strong, if it's going to happen for Royal Quest, but it does appear that United Empire is getting at least one more member, so I guess we'll see who it is. I don't really have a guess, but typically the group is people of different nationalities. So we have Ospreay, who's British, Jeff Cobb, who is like from Guam, I believe, Great Khan, who's Japanese, Francesco Akira, who is Italian, Aaron Hanari from New Zealand, and Aussie Open, who's from Australia. So I would assume nobody from any of those countries. I would assume it'd be somebody from somewhere else. Theoretically, it could be somebody from America, like the United States. It could be somebody from Canada. It could be somebody from Mexico. I'm trying to think of if there's anybody who's like in New Japan that fits that. It could be somebody, I guess, from AEW technically, or Ring of Honor. Could be somebody in Impact, technically, since, New Japan is there working with them. So I don't know, but for United Empire fans, we're getting a new member. So keep your eyes peeled. I guess we'll figure out who it is in the coming weeks. And yeah. So that's going to do it for me. That is the review of the semifinals of the G1 Climax. Be sure to leave a comment if you're on YouTube what you thought of the two semifinals matchups with Okada versus Tama Tonga and Ospreay versus Naito. Which one was your favorite? And are you looking forward to Okada versus Ospreay? Who do you think's winning? And yeah. So I've been Pat from the Deep Six Wrestling Podcast. Thanks for listening to another episode, and I will talk to you on tomorrow for the finals. So thank you once again, and adios.